Hey, hey! I am about to record an episode of the Chasing Curiosity with Chels podcast, and I thought I would take this as the perfect opportunity to give you a real behind the scenes look. I'm not going to move my camera around and show you what I'm doing, but I will talk about it before I hit record, and then I'm just going to record the episode and let's see how this goes. This is a couple of firsts for me here. Hold on, I've got some notes down here on the ground. Usually when I record my podcast episodes, I don't edit a lot. I like to be just super real with it. So a lot of pauses or me thinking like I'm verbally processing some things. I have tried out different modalities of writing out my episode and speaking it that way, or just kind of having an overall topic, maybe a little outline of what I want to talk about and then get into it. So that's what I've been doing here lately. That's what's like feeling good with me. And I'm just trusting that. I'm trusting my intuition with it and allowing myself to just use this time to be creative and try things out. And it really takes the pressure off of it. So it's just been a ton of fun for me. And I hope that that's evident when you watch or when you listen to the podcast. And if this goes well, I'll probably do this from time to time, maybe like once a month or who knows? I don't know. I'm curious to see what y'all think of this. And yeah, I'm really excited to put this out. So what I've got set up right now is my laptop. This was a vision board dream that I had for forever to get my very own Mac, and I made that happen last year, and it's been amazing and so fun to have, and I really don't utilize her the best way I should. So maybe that's something I can do during this time in the quarantine that we're going through, is really just learn how to use some different tools and stuff. I really want to get into like some graphic design and things like that. Anyway, so I've got my Mac set up and I use a program called Zencastr. By the way, if you're looking for a course on podcasting, Jenna Kutcher is the one that I bought. It is fabulous. It walks you through the whole thing if that's something that you're interested in, and it's very affordable. Jenna's just a wealth of knowledge. I absolutely love her, and I know that we'll be friends one day, so calling that out there. Clearly I have a lot to say too. So I use a program called Zencastr, and this is like my dashboard for where I actually record the episode. It was one thing when starting to do a podcast that these were the questions that I have, like, you know, what do you even record on? Like, I can record in a voice memo on my phone, but then what do you do with it after that? Like, how does it actually get out into the interwebs and all of that stuff? So Jenna's course will walk you through all of that. But this is one of the programs that she recommended. So it's Zencastr. There are different levels that you can buy on here. For me, I use the professional plan. It's pretty affordable, and I get so much storage with that, which is nice. And it's got some different features where it does what's called a post-production, and it'll take your soundboard bites, which are like, if they're, for example, for me, it's the little music intro and the introduction into what my podcast is. In case somebody comes across it, you want to introduce it, at least in my opinion. So that's all on my soundboard because those don't change. So it kind of holds that sound for it essentially. And then you have your actual recording, and if you have a guest, they have their own recording too, unless you're using the same mic. So if I call into a guest, like I did with Vanessa on the last episode, she had her recording and I had mine. Post-production puts all those together for you. So I'm digressing a little bit. Anyway, Zencastr, this is where I recorded. I hit start record, I do my intro, I record my episode. When I'm done, it downloads to my computer. I have sent it off to my friend through Upwork. I cannot pronounce his name, but it's Pavla. I probably should ask him how he pronounces his name, but he's been doing some great work for me, especially with the interviews, because, as I mentioned before, I like to keep it real and I don't really edit. When I'm by myself, that's one thing, but when I have a guest, I don't want to put that pressure on them. So I'm able to outsource some of the editing right now, which helps. And that's through Upwork. You can outsource all kinds of stuff through them. And if you have suggestions of if you've outsourced, I'd love to hear kind of what other formats you've used for that. All right. Once it's on Zencastr and recorded and downloaded and edited, then you upload it to, she recommends Libsyn. And there's other formats out there, but that's essentially like your host site. So that's where all of your podcasts live. That's where you put in the thumbnails for pictures, the details, the title of the podcast, the subtitle, the podcast description. In the description, you can link out to different resources that you may mention during your episode. So with Libsyn, that, like I said, that houses everything. You can also schedule release dates. So what I like to do a lot of times is batch work, or at least record the week before. So the episode I'm recording now will be aired next Tuesday. And there are some days where I'll record a couple, or like this next week, I'm gonna have 2 interviews in the same day. So I batch work it, and then I can set it up in Libsyn, put the scheduled release date on there. And I get, when I'm in the flow and in a creative moment, like I am right now, which is why I hit record on this, it's the ultimate time to allow that creativity to keep flowing. So batch working really helps with that. And that goes for lots of things. That goes for journaling and everything like that for me too, reading. So anyway, when I'm in the flow, I do the batch work, and that lives on Libsyn. And then from there, it's Libsyn broadcasts it out to different platforms. So I believe what it starts with is Apple, iTunes, podcast. There might be a couple more on there that I can't think off the top of my head, but now mine shoots out to Google and to any other forms. When I get to that point at the end of this, I'll go ahead and list them out, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Anyway, so it syndicates out to all those other platforms. So no matter what, your listeners should be able to find it. It also creates a sound bite, essentially. I don't know, there's probably a proper name for it, but it creates like a link that you can then take that link and insert it into your website. So if you have a blog, if you have, even if you don't have a blog, but if you have a website, that can go on one of your pages. Let's use blog, for example. If you have a blog and you're talking about, oh gosh, like what we're gonna talk about today, not drinking alcohol anymore. I can write a blog post about it, and then I can link this podcast episode that correlates with it, right? So it always lives on your website in that sense too. So it's just different ways that people can connect with you and listen to your podcast. But yeah, after that's pretty much it as far as everything goes. My equipment, I have a Blue Yeti microphone. I'm not a big like research person. I kind of go more with my feelings when it comes to things that I want to get. You know, sometimes it's hit or miss, but I did do research on the microphone because this was important to me. And Blue Yeti has been the one that the reviews were the greatest for me. The price was reasonable, and I'm so thankful that I bought it. There's 4 different modes on the back for the different types of interviews, or, you know, songs or whatever, anything that you're going to be recording, it has different modes to set. And when I'm by myself, I have it set to one mode. When I've got 2 other people, I was just checking to make sure it was on that. When I've got other people in the room with me, then I'll switch up the mode. So there's a volume on here. This connects to a USB port in your computer, and that's what powers the mic. And then it has headphones, a plug-in for headphones. So I just went with something. These are Audio Technica. I mean, get whatever you want. They work perfectly for me. They're pretty comfy, And yeah, they do the trick. So what's nice about that is you can hear yourself with those on super clearly, so the background noise you don't get in your ears, so you don't lose your train of thought. But yeah, Blue Yeti, it's got a mute button and then a volume button on the front, and there's also a gain on the back, so you can adjust that. What else? I think that's pretty much it. So we're gonna get into the actual episode now, and this will be exciting. This will be fun. I drink a lot of water beforehand because I'm the type of person, I can't really hear people eat, like physically chewing. Like when I can hear things moving around, it just grosses me out. So I don't know if any of my listeners are like that. So I don't want to ever like be gulping in the microphone. I feel like it's weird. Anyway, oh, I forgot. This is my pop filter as well. This, you can see it there. It's super bendy and it's Dragon Pad. Again, I just looked for something on Amazon, and I think maybe the pop filter and the headphones all kind of came up around the same time. There is someone. Oh, cool. They're almost gone. Sorry, the guys, the street's right here, and they're doing the maintenance on the esplanades in front of the house. Okay. This is exciting, isn't it? Ah, I'm like super pumped about this. Okay. I feel like I should have recorded this live, but that would be a lot of pressure. So I'm gonna do my best to get through the whole episode. I feel like as of right now, I'm pretty in the flow, so I'm just gonna go with it. But if I have to stop, I'll maybe edit those out later for the video's sake's purpose. And this is another first too. I usually stand up on my standing desk, which is what my camera's sitting on, and usually record and talk around. So this will be, well, no, I guess I did an interview where I was sitting down the whole time. That was pretty good too, but I was engaging with people. So it's kind of nice to be able to see myself. It feels like I'm talking to somebody and not just staring at the wall. So that's nice. That's what I normally do. Maybe I should put a mirror up in front of me. Or I'll just do this more often if y'all like it. Anyway, yeah, so first time kind of really sitting down in my office for sure, recording it solo. So you may or may not hear this intro chiming in. And I'm like breathing really heavily. I'm going to turn it up on your end, so hopefully you can. Holden, and I currently live in Spring, Texas. I am so freaking thankful that you are here and listening in on this week's episode. This is when I usually drink a lot of water. So that you can always be on top of this is all pre-recorded. This is what's in that sound bar, that intro music, me talking right now. Self-development, relationships, adventure. I mean, chime in to the interviews with some badass people that I know and you definitely need to know here on the Chasing Curiosity with Chelsea podcast. Thanks so much. Let's get into the show. Hey. Thanks so much for chiming in today. I am doing something pretty new, which is really kind of awesome, and I'm sharing it with you soon after this episode airs. I'm actually sitting in my office right now at a little bistro table and recording this on video to mainly to document for me, but also to share in case anybody's curious, as a little behind the scenes. I wasn't quite comfortable going live doing this, so here we are on the recorded, but it's gonna be great. I'm super excited. I've been in pretty good flow for, that time marker just said 1444, all fours, angel numbers, I love it. So let's get into today's show, and be sure to, I'll go ahead and link this video once this airs. So if you want to check out me in my home office, then you're welcome to click the link in the show description. And yeah. All right, so this is episode number 15, why I don't drink alcohol anymore. I did my number count today, and I gave up alcohol on June 12th, 2019. So today is number, hold on, I gotta get up and go look at that. Today is number 294. Holy crap, y'all. Holy crap. That is almost 300 days, and I'm just blown away that I'm even here, like that I have made it this far. And I say that because there has been so many times that I tried to quit drinking and made promises and just didn't keep them, and ended up having to start over and over again. So I want to start this out, well, I'm already in the middle of it, but I want to share a journal entry with you. I'm going to read that aloud for you to hear, just so you can get kind of an idea of where I was at. And this was a pattern I started to notice, and I really picked up on it last year. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to take a drink of coffee real quick. All right. So this is a journal entry from February 8th, 2018. Let me figure out. Oh, okay. It says, Lord, protect our hearts. Be the cushion that keeps from breaking. And I wrote down drinking. How many times will we go through this? It's a dark dividing line from where I am to what I know I need to do. Stop. Just stop. Stop drinking altogether. Simple, final. I am following a couple of sober living people on Instagram, and every time I see one of their posts, I think how I wish I was brave enough or strong enough to quit. Lord, make me strong. Allow your Holy Spirit to wash over me and guide my actions. Help me to say no to drinking and yes to you. Whew. So I made a promise at the end of this. Lord, I want to keep this promise to you. I promise to not drink anymore. Fill my desire to drink with a desire to love. My desire to numb with a desire to learn. Remind me that you are always with me. Oh man, this makes me like super choked up. I hadn't read the whole thing before I started, so that's pretty real for you. Man, I'm sitting here like reflecting on this truly because I just read it for the first time. So there's going to be some verbal processing here, but that is just so powerful to me right now because I'm sitting here at almost 300 days without alcohol and I feel like those prayers were answered. Like I'm here now, almost 300 days, almost 1 year, and those prayers were answered. How freaking amazing is that? Oh, thank you. I just want to take a minute to give some gratitude. I talk a lot about self-love and self-development on this podcast because it is something I believe so wholeheartedly in. I believe in putting yourself first and in loving yourself so deeply that you can create real change if that's what you desire. So, that was pretty powerful, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Like, that is real. I think I like recording my episodes from here. Oh man, okay, let's get back on track. So I wanted to read that journal entry for you. It literally just, I opened up my journal and there it was. So that was pretty beautiful. And I feel like that was divinely guided for sure. But I've shared journal entries before on my Instagram stories, and I know that it resonates with some people, to just know that maybe you're there now, and maybe it's not alcohol, but maybe there is something that you just need to work through and you need to grow through, and you're not really even sure where to start. What I've noticed is going back into my journal entries has allowed me to kind of see everything from a higher perspective, knowing like, okay, that's where I was, that this is a pattern that keeps repeating, right? So that drinking, those promises, I promised him again that I would stop drinking. I continued to do that the rest of the year. And even, like at the beginning of 2019. So these patterns are great. Like now I was aware of it, and I finally I had enough. And I think an important part in that journal entry was following the sober living people, surrounding myself with people that have been there before, people that have been through what I've been through and are on the other side. And here's the deal with not drinking, right? For me, it was, I have lived this way for so long, and I know what it's gotten me. I'm here right now. So I know what that outcome looks like, and it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any prettier for me, right? All it does is create more of the bad stuff, more of the blackouts, more of the not remembering, more of the fights, more of the shame, of the guilt, of the anxiousness, of the worry and fear, and just every low vibrational thought and emotion that I could have. That's what drinking, continuing on that path, would get me. So on the other side, the flip side of that was, it was like I knew what I had to do, but I kept self-sabotaging because maybe it was comfortable, because I was fearful of the unknown. And this stopping drinking, I think now, verbally processing this with y'all, scared the shit out of me, to be honest. Like, that drinking's what made me fun. It's what made me connect with people. People liked me when I was drunk. No, they didn't. Maybe once in a blue moon. I am a terrible drunk. Terrible. You never know what you're going to get with me, ever. Likely pretty emotional, irrational, moody, maybe every now and again sprinkles of laughter, but a lot of times it was just fun up until a point where I let it go too far, and then I didn't remember and wake up with a freaking hangover and live through that hangover for the next 30 days. Because the older you get, the harder it is to get over that. And the drinking led to poor food choices, totally not exercising, definitely not getting up early and pouring into myself. No, I'd unwind with the drinks on the weekend, and I didn't know when to stop. So, but I'm not saying that to tell you, and I'm not ashamed of that. It was all a lesson. And thank God for my patient husband. Like, Oh man, he put up with a lot. Like, that's all I can say. And he loved me through it. He loved me through it. Like, truly. So you never knew what you were going to get with me. I knew what life was like on that side, and I was so curious about what it would be like on this side without the alcohol. And when Ronnie and I first started dating, here's part of the pattern. When Ronnie and I first started dating, that's how we, got along. Like, we'd go out for drinks. I bartended during that time, so naturally, like, after that, you just go for drinks, and Ronnie would hang out at the bar, and it was a great time. There's nothing wrong with that. That's where I was going. I lost my train of thought earlier and came back around. I'm not ashamed of that girl. I had to be that girl to get to where I am today. So I don't regret. Did I make mistakes? Absolutely. Did I make really poor choices sometimes? Yes, I did. All of it. But I'm here now. I'm doing what I'm made to be doing now, and I love the shit out of myself now. And I'm not saying that to be conceited or anything. That is not what this is. This is pure, unconditional self-love. And I've got it now because I've grown through it. And I have removed judgment from the past. That is unconditional. I don't blame that girl. I love that girl, and I love that girl even harder. So now I got all fired up about that one, and now I lost my train of thought again. Okay, the pattern, right? So when Ronnie and I first started dating, that's what we did. We hung out, we drink, and that's how we socialized. That's how a lot of people socialize. That's how I socialized for years. And there was a point when I quit drinking. And that was like that first year that we were together because we started fighting. And this was a pattern from past relationships for me, for sure. My relationship before Ronnie, was a very, very unhealthy relationship. And drinking was involved heavily on both sides with that. A lot of fights, a lot of arguments. So I quit drinking when Ronnie and I first started dating because I didn't want that pattern to repeat, right? I lived that life for 6 years. No way, I'm not doing that anymore. And those relationships are no comparison by any means. Hold on, water. Drink your water. So, shoot, I lost my train of thought again. Okay, yes, I quit drinking for 6 months that first year Ronnie and I started dating. And that was such an amazing feeling. I only started drinking again because we went to our good friend's wedding in New Orleans, and it was so fabulous and like the nicest wedding I've probably ever been to in my life. Like just everything about it, like where the wedding was, where the reception was, people, just beautiful food and drink just all the way around. Ronnie bought me a dress to wear to the wedding, like one of my favorite dresses in the world too, and it was such a good feeling. So I wanted to drink to have something to celebrate. Again, another thing that we do as a society with drinks and with alcohol. And so I did, and I didn't stop there though, and just, it's New Orleans. They don't close the bars down. So we went out and we had the best time. It was such a good time. But I broke the seal. That's what happened, right? I had stopped for 6 months and I broke the seal because I just wanted to have a little bit more fun, right? Which is all an illusion. And come back, I was like, it's kind of one of those things, like one of those tricks your mind tries to play on you that like, oh, well, you had such a good time in New Orleans and you handled it. So yeah, you can go have another drink. You can have a little bit more, oh, you're feeling good. You're fine. You can have a little bit more. This is me talking to myself, right? Not me, but anyway, these are the thoughts that are going through my mind at the time. So that pattern continued on. And then I think probably in 2018, I'm pretty sure that's when I wrote, shortly after I wrote that journal entry, I went like 32 days to stop drinking. And it was great. Again, I felt good. And the funny part was, like, all this time while I, from the 6-month period when Ronnie and I first started dating, which would have been like 10 years ago, around there. And from that point to when I started drinking again, to all the times I made those journal entries, all the times that I made promises that I would stop drinking this time, it never went longer than 6 months. And every time I would tell myself, I remember feeling so good. In that 6 months, I remember that was the best I had felt in years, like so good. So I knew, right? Like, that's the funny part. Like, I knew what I needed to do, but I guess I was just too scared, like not brave enough to do it, until finally I was done. And I don't know what clicked for me. I wish I had a magic answer for that, for anybody that's going through anything, alcohol aside. Like, I wish I knew. It definitely wasn't a rock bottom, so to speak, but it was for me. It was a mental rock bottom, I think, like just an emotional one where it was like, I'm just done. I just can't freaking play this broken record anymore, And it was at that time in my life when I started doing a lot more self-work, a lot more self-development. I started really making time for myself. And it started with the miracle morning. It started with waking up early and giving myself 30 minutes, There was so many times I just had mental just nagging, just my thoughts just overtaking everything, that sometimes the only thing that would help would be to go for a walk. So I think starting walking cleared my mind. It was so good for me mentally. And that was my time when I could listen to a podcast, I could call my friend, I could just not hear anything. I could hear music, my music, what I wanted to listen to. It was just something to set the tone for my day, or even in the middle of the day. If I was done, not even done, not to like a breaking point or anything, but I knew, like, I was getting frustrated. I was starting to have all these fearful yuck feelings that it was like, no, I need to go for a walk. Like, I just need my time. And it's easiest for me to make that time, to create that time for myself in the mornings. So I started with the miracle mornings. I've talked about this on previous episodes. You can go back and listen. But giving myself that time was me pouring into me, and starting to love myself, starting to feel worthy, starting to get brave enough to push into that fear and take real action. So my friend Mel told me about the power promise, and I talked about that. There's a whole episode on my power promise, which essentially is no drinking, but other things too. And I told myself that I would do it for 30 days. That, Rachel Hollis talks about giving up Diet Cokes for 30 days. Like, essentially, if you can't keep that promise to yourself, like, you are worthy of that promise. Like, that is not having integrity with yourself. And doing the power promise and sticking to it for 30 days was exactly what I needed. It was the key for me to keep going. That's what worked for me. You may be completely different. And I want to say a disclaimer here. If you have issues with drinking, if you know you need to stop and you need help, then I am going to encourage you to reach out to AA, reach out to a friend, reach out to a sober person on Instagram, DM them, do whatever it takes to put yourself in front of the help that you need, because you deserve it and you are fucking worthy of it. You deserve a beautiful life for yourself. So Power Promise, I stuck with that for 30 days. And I said, okay, I'm going to do round 2. And in that time, in those first 60 days, I don't remember if it was the first or second part of it, I went to a Rise conference with 2 of my friends, and it was just beautiful. It was Rachel Hollis, the Hollis Company Rise conference. It was perfect. It was exactly what I needed at that time too. That was close to a month after I quit drinking that I went to that conference. So knowing that I was there to better myself internally at this conference, and already having taken that first step and stopping drinking before then, was like, I am on the right track. I am on the right path. I am doing exactly what I need to be doing right now, because I felt so good. And feeling good and that high vibrational emotion is what keeps me moving forward. It's what keeps me attracting more goodness into my life. So I positioned myself really well by divine intervention. All of this is through the grace of God. I would not be in this place if it was not for his guidance and unconditional love and the Holy Spirit just moving through me. I am just so freaking thankful for that. So, sorry for all the bumps. I have to move around a lot. Anyway, the Rise, during that time, during those 60 days, I went back into my journal entries at that point and started to read. And I was telling my friend Melanie about this, and she's the one that pointed out that I started to notice patterns. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. So I tacked on another Power Promise and told myself I'm going to go another 30 days. Let's see if we can do it. And you know what? I'm going to do 36, because there's sayings that 66 days are what creates habits. A lot of times I think we think it's 21. So there's mixed things on it, but I wanted to do 66. And I did it. And I got through it. And holy bananas, let's just keep going. And so then you start hitting those little mile markers, and it's like this dim little light of a girl, of a person, starts to build confidence and just grow and grow. And that love starts to just keep growing, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until now I'm just like this is what you get. Like, this truly is me. I've had people ask me before, like, you can't be that happy all the time. Like, I really freaking am. I really am. I'm really on fire for life. Like, we only get this one life, y'all. Like, we get one shot to do our very best with it. And I am so fully committed and so fully engaged and in on living it to the best of my ability to help other people know exactly what this feels like. If I could bottle this up and give it to you, I would. Trust me, I would. But it took me recognizing, it took me becoming aware of how I didn't want to feel anymore, of picking out those patterns, of deciding to bet on myself and put myself first. So I put myself first I think for the first time in my life ever. And nothing but goodness has come from that. Nothing but goodness has come from me fully loving myself and removing the judgment and removing the shame. And that takes work. It's not overnight. And I don't have a magic pill for it. I just know that you just keep going. And that's what I did. 66 days, I kept going. 100 days, holy shit, I kept going. 150, 200, 250, and now I'm almost 300 days. By the time this airs, I'll be even closer, obviously, but I was trying to see what day I was on today. I think 294. So yeah, by the time this airs, I'll have hit my 300. And it's just amazing. And I'm so excited to just see where this takes me. You know, where this life, that's what I'm curious about. That's what fills my soul, is figuring out along the way, following the breadcrumbs along the way to really see like what God has in store for me. Because holy shit, it's amazing right now. It's so good right now. But it takes investing in yourself, it takes loving yourself, and it takes protecting yourself. It takes setting those boundaries too. With alcohol, it's tricky. You know, if you have a food addiction, that's even trickier. Because you have to eat to live. You don't have to drink to survive. I mean, water, yes, hello. But it's tricky when that's how you've socialized for so long. You know, it's when all of your friends, that's what they do, and they still do. You know, it can feel lonely sometimes when you're not the one drinking. But my eye's on the bigger picture. My eye's on the big picture. Drinking doesn't make me more fun. You know, it doesn't help me celebrate better. It doesn't make me enjoy live music any better. Like, I thought it did, but guess all it did was make me forget the shows that I was at. Now I actually get to engage with the shows and remember what happens. You know, remember being there dancing and dance. Drinking doesn't make me a better dancer, that's for sure. Oh. And I found to have fun in different ways. This podcast, I can guarantee you I wouldn't have started this if I was still drinking. And it's one thing that brings me so much freaking joy. Like, you have no idea. So I don't drink anymore because I love myself too much. And I love that past girl very much. And I want her to know how much she's worth. And the same goes for you. The same goes for you. If you're listening right now, and somebody out there needs to hear this, but you're worthy. You are worthy of so much goodness. You are worthy of so many wonderful things and beautiful things. And you can have them all. And if there's something that you need to change, if you know that there's a shift you need to make, then take the first step. Surround yourself with people that are just a little bit more ahead of you. Reach out. It's a really good life. It really is. And when you start to love yourself, you start to dive deep, you start to do this work, and it's like coming home, you know? It's like the best way to describe it. It's like feeling like, that's how I can describe this, is I feel like myself fully. I don't feel like I'm pretending to be anybody else. God, that takes a lot of pressure off. Holy cow. Being able to fully be me, that's what we're made for. The world wants what you have. We need you to be your best self. Everybody needs to live their life fully and beautifully. And you can do it, and you can do it. All it takes is just a little bit of self-love. Let that baby grow and keep growing. Oh, well, I just want to say thank you so much for chiming in. I had a good time. I hope that was apparent to y'all coming through. I'd love to know if you liked this, if this format works for you, and I will definitely put the link for the video in the show notes. So feel free to share it if it resonated with you. I'd love for you to take a screenshot, tag me, post it on Instagram at @the_Chelsea_Holden. If you feel that this message today would resonate very well with someone else and maybe someone needs to hear it, then I ask that you please share it. Don't keep me a secret. And the time coming out is 3:33. How fun. Okay, well, thank you so much again. I love you. Light and love. All right. Whew. Man, there was some good moments in there, y'all. I don't know. I had a blast. I hope that y'all had so much fun watching that too. Yeah, that's pretty much how my shows go. You know, a little bit of editing. There's a couple parts in there that I could have stopped or could edit out, but I'm not going to. It's real, it's here, and I just hope you like it. I did say I was going to tell you about that. So right now I hit stop record, and this is actually downloading. Let me see if I can turn this around and show you. I'm just going to make another video for you that'll do that. But anyway, you've got MP3s and waves, and this will download. So it's currently working. I don't think you could even see that well. And hold on, let me get this all back together. There we go. Make sure my mic is muted. Okay. So once this downloads, then I upload this into Libsyn, which again is the hosting platform. And I just wanted to go in here to show you what other podcasts, things that it syndicates out to. Excuse me, because I told you I would. I love Macs. I get to put my finger here and it just opens. So awesome. Okay. Let's see. What does more give us? Details. Let's see the details. Oh yeah, okay. So it syndicates out to Google Play, Libsyn, network app, podcast page, simple download, Spotify, and web player. So that's pretty awesome. Like I said, it didn't start out with all of that. I actually saw someone on Instagram that posted about the different platforms. So as soon as I did that, I went in and applied, and some of them take a couple days to get back to you. So that is one thing. If you've got a specific date in mind when you're planning on airing your first show, be sure to give yourself a few extra days, because they do have to approve it before they actually let it go live, which is really cool. But yeah, that's about it. I am so glad that you joined me today. This is super cool. Like I said, I had a ton of fun. I hope you got some great value out of it. If you enjoyed it, I would love to know, and I am happy to do more. We can do lots of behind the scenes. All right, talk to you later.